Our next guest is a talented actress you know from her work as Kamala Khan on the hit series Miss Marvel. All 6 episodes are available now on Disney+. Let's take a look.
Oh, but no, I've spoken too much already. No, I'm not going to talk about this at all, beta.
Kamala?
Your mother will get very upset.
So this belonged to Aisha and you really have no idea what happened to her?
Oh, beta, speak up a bit. My old ears are
Kamala?
not as young as your smile.
Please welcome to the show, Iman Vellani, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm particularly very excited about this one because our producer, Sana,
Yes.
who was on your show in like 2016.
Yes,
also-
here's Sana. She's one of the producers of Miss Marvel, and she was here.
Yeah.
And I guess you have watched this interview.
Oh, yes. It was the first thing I watched after I read the Miss Marvel comics for the first time, and I was like obsessed with her. I was like, how did she get a job at Marvel Comics and be brown and a woman at the same time? It
Seems like you'd be happier about it. You seem really mad about it.
I was so jealous, me being like 15 years old. But yeah, I was obsessed with her, and now 6 years later, I'm here talking about Miss Marvel, and she's here too somewhere.
She is. She's backstage.
So-
It was nice to see her again.
Yeah.
But again, I think this is the part that's so sweet. So you obviously you cared about this comic book, and now you're playing Marvel's first Muslim superhero, and she's a teenager, and you're a teenager, and I can't even imagine. Also, you're a comic book fan. What this whole process was like, ending up with this part.
My life is overwhelmingly good right now.
That's good. Live it up.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be shy about it. Is it true? Were you the kind of person who you did spend your allowance on comic books?
Oh, $20.
$20.
Yeah.
That's is that a good allowance these days? Because I have to start figuring out.
No, I had to make an Excel spreadsheet and like talk to my parents. I'm like, look, these are my expenses as a 15-year-old high school kid. I need comics. I need McDonald's. I need clothes, I guess. Yeah, but it's just McDonald's and comics.
And it was and you were a Marvel kid. Is that accurate?
But it was like mostly Iron Man, so I like obviously fell in love with the MCU first, and then my high school was right across from a comic book store, and I was like, I need more Iron Man. So I like read every Invincible Iron Man comic I could get, and then I ran into Ironheart because I thought she was Iron Man. That was wrong. And Kamala was on the cover of one of those comics, and that's when I fell in love with
What was it like? I mean, I think it is important. You know, obviously it's so special to have this kind of representation in comics. What was it like the first time you saw Miss Marvel?
In person?
Yeah.
Like in the mirror?
Yeah.
No, it was crazy. She felt so different than all the other Muslim teenagers I was used to seeing in mainstream media. You know, she was using her culture, something that, you know, guided her, and it wasn't something she neglected at all. And on top of that, she was a huge fan, and the show was, the comics were never about, you know, being Muslim or being Pakistani. It was about this superhero-obsessed dork who just happens to be Muslim and Pakistani, and that's how I felt in real life, and it's really comforting reading those comics.
Yeah, well, it certainly, I think they ended up on the right person for the part. So there's a really cool animation style in this show as well, outside of the live action, and it's so visually pleasant and pleasing to watch. Were you also someone who was drawn to art growing up? I feel weird saying growing up because I feel like that hasn't finished yet, but...
I'm an adult. No, but I was really into art. It's funny, during one of our quarantines, I made like a little stop motion with my Iron Man and Kamala action figures, and I sent it to Kevin Feige and our producers with zero context. It was like literally my action figures dancing or something. And then they really liked that. And we ended up changing our first episode 1 and opening animation to be a stop motion instead of like a regular animation.
So Kevin Feige, who, if anybody follows the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is the man who is pulling the strings. He's sort of the brain behind it all. Did you feel nervous when you first met him, or were you right away sending him weird stop motion animation?
So I stared at him until he left the first time I met him. I like couldn't be a human at all.
And do you think he left because you were staring at them?
Possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
He's
You
really
never know.
awkward. And if you're awkward, then it's just a double whammy. It's terrible. But Sana was like, okay, so he's coming on Wednesday. It was Monday, and he comes and he's like, hey, man, I heard you doing a great job or whatever. And I was like, stared at him until he left, and then he came back Wednesday, and I had written this like 4-page letter. The first page was like me gushing over him. The next 3 pages were like 70 questions about the MCU and his life. And so I gave it to him, And Sana was basically our like mediator throughout this whole conversation. She's like, Iman, you have something for Kevin. Kevin, what do you want to say to Iman? And it was like really awkward. And I gave him this letter, and the next day he called me and like answered the first 40 over Zoom. So yeah,
All right.
I am more comfortable with the man now. Yeah.
That is very, very nice to hear. It must be so, I can only imagine, you've been working for 2 years on this project, and now you can finally talk about it with people.
Yeah.
You've known secrets, you've known plot points that you haven't been able to share. Has it been rewarding to talk to fans who have responded to it?
Dude, I could breathe. So nice. I'm not present on social media publicly, but I do have like a lot of private accounts, especially on Reddit. I'm just like arguing with people about theories. I'm like, you don't even know what's coming, man. Like, you're so wrong. It's so liberating.
So you also had to keep a secret about auditioning for this in the first place from your friends. Everyone, you were planning on going to college, right? And this
Yeah.
put a pause on that.
Yeah, I was like, with my friends, I was planning like rooming together in university. Little did they know that was not gonna happen, because I got the part in front of them and they were like, what?
What do you mean in front of them?
So it was the last day of high school, and we were out doing stuff, and I get this text from Sarah Finn, and she's like, hey, can you get on this call? And I was like, no. And then they were like, oh, we sent you the link, get on right now. And I was like, okay. And I'm in my friend's driveway, and they're watching me from the car, and I'm trying to not have a reaction because Kevin Feige's on my phone, and it was just, my brain was spinning. And then I get back in the car, and they were like, so what happened? Did you like win the lottery or something? And I was like, basically. Yeah.
And then how did you celebrate?
Burritos. We got burritos.
Burritos?
Yeah.
Well, I think that there's no achievement that's not the proper celebration for.
I'd say so.
What a delight to spend time with you this evening. Congratulations on everything. I've just met you, but I don't think it could have happened to a nicer person. You guys, that's Iman Vellani. All episodes of Ms. Marvel are available now on Disney+. We'll be right back.